What's poppin', everybody? This is the cartoon kid, Ray Rawlins, and today, for the 25 Days of Christmas Cartoons Marathon, we are reviewing the REN and Stimpy show, Son of Stimpy. Now, before we get into this episode, man, the review and whatnot, we gotta ask Mr. Alex Payne what happens in this episode. So what happens, man?
Well, basically, Stimpy farted and is confused that it disappeared and spends the episode looking for
it. See, and this is how you tell that Alex Payne does not have any care for this episode at all.
It's not even really care. What
the
more
very
could you
weak
say?
summary. The very weak summary for the episode.
But no, so, but that's
I'm gonna take. Hold on. I'm gonna take. Listen. Stop it. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say your rating is a 3 out of 10 for this episode. But
no.
I guess we might as well get into first impressions. It is. I mean, you could have said a little bit more, man. You could have said, "Oh yeah, he found it at the end. Found out it was his." You could say it was his son, and then he got married to a fish. There's a lot more you could have said, but you know what? Hey, that's why I get paid the big bucks, because I put in the hard work for this channel. Anyway, first impressions.
Well, I mean, it is your
channel. You say yours first.
My first. Well, I have two first impressions, even though that doesn't make sense. But my first impression, like my very first impression, was that they used the SpongeBob music at first.
Yeah, I said the same thing, yo, right at the beginning. Obviously, us being longtime SpongeBob fans, we noticed that shit off the bat.
Now, granted, that means obviously this came first, so that means that they took that from this. But
right.
It was just interesting to hear that in another show in a different context, I guess.
I ain't gonna lie, it threw me for a loop at first. That's real talk.
My second impression was that Stimpy sounds like a teenage, if not young, preteen Fry from Futurama.
Yo, I said the same shit. I said the same exact thing, yo. And I mean, at times, you can tell he had his own little voice, but
yeah.
Yo, you are 100% correct, because I said the same shit.
Because at first I was listening to it and I was like, that voice sound familiar. Like, it just sounded really familiar. It's just like, oh. And it just kept tickling at me. And then when he was yelling, Stinky, like it clicked with me, because in some episode, I can't remember what it was. Fry was yelling something in the same way. He was looking for something. Oh, I remember.
Leela.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong, but it's from one of the movies, and he was yelling Leelu because he was looking for a whale. But what am I saying? But yeah, no, that was my first. It's like that's when it clicked to me. I was like, yo, that's Fry. I even went on IMDb to look to see if they was voiced by the same person. Weirdly enough, they're not.
Oh, okay. I gotta say, my first impression is, simply put, this episode is fucking nasty as hell. I heard a lot about REN and Stimpy from, older dudes who are friends of the channel and who are, friends of me. And they're like, man, guys need to review REN and Stimpy. You guys need to review REN and Stimpy. And this is, I suppose you could say, our first impression of the series. And it's like, man, I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm kind of conflicted. I mean, yeah, we got some little funny jokes in there, but the overall premise of this episode, if I'm being real honest, yeah, I'm not feeling it. Especially that ending when you see the fucking fart and him get married to whatever the fuck you want to call it, like a fish or whatever. I wasn't feeling that. I was grossed out like a motherfucker. But some episodes aren't gonna be the best, and we stumbled upon one of REN and Stimpy that is not my favorite. But as we get into moments, what are some of your standout moments of this episode?
Well, you could argue on how if this is a good or bad thing, but the moment that stood out to me was when he was looking in the smelling the Santa Claus butt, and
Oh,
I forget the Santa Claus butt was like very detailed, and the red vet was very popping. That was kind of weird to me. Like they put a lot of detail in that ass,
sniffing them red cheeks. So,
and
ho ho ho! Was fucking hollering that shit.
but that's the only moment I have. What about you?
We gotta mention too that besides that moment, this really ain't a Christmas episode. I'm surprised none of us had messages that mentioned that at first. Like, this is really not a Christmas episode. I mean, we have one Santa Claus sighting, dope. There's nothing Christmassy about this. Um,
It kind of
I
was like it was on Christmas when he was out there looking for him and everything. So I'll give it. It definitely wasn't. Listen, we've been mentioning um the level of how Christmassy it was, and I feel like this one really pushed the Christmas in the backseat. It was
oh
there,
yeah,
but it sure was not a focus point.
but listen, I gotta say, Ren, it's just like it's kind of got that like mutton chef feel, Obviously, there's not one tall one short one, but these two are polar opposites. Ren obviously is a smart, quiet one, really, and Stimpy is the big dumb motherfucker. And I gotta say, Stimpy's character. I mean, let's take away all the fart shit, all the nasty shit, because I don't fuck with that shit. But if it was anything else, like any other type of stupid thing going on, and you can see Stimpy's character on display, I think I could really get with this episode a lot more. Maybe I would have appreciated Stimpy as a character more. But Ren seems like a dope, quiet motherfucker. And I gotta like the scene at the beginning of the show when Stimpy's telling him about the fart, and he's like, "Man, listen, get your goof ass on somewhere, man. Ain't nobody trying to hear that stupid ass shit." And then he goes to even see, I think they're dogs, a little bit later on to ask him where his friend Stinky went. Um, and the dogs are fucking looking at him stupid too. So obviously he goes and gets all depressed and whatnot. I gotta say, at the end, I definitely have to mention this scene because this is what really grossed me the fuck out. Obviously, you see the fart, right? Then he comes home. He starts talking to Stimpy. He's like, "Man, Dad, I'm getting married, man. I gotta be out on my own. I'm getting married. I found love of my life. Turns out to be this fish, which, in all honesty, I thought was like a little fucking turd at first. I'm not even lying to you. But man, when they say, I think they hug first when they're at the Stimpy's house, and they make like this splashing sound. It's like, oh, because you see these two things just come together. I'm like, oh man, I can't fuck with that. Nah, nah, nah. And then at the wedding, they have a little ceremony. You said, okay, I pronounce you fart and cod, and you see them kiss. I'm like, man, okay, okay. I don't know how I feel about this episode, but man, ooh, I tell you, at that moment, I was like, man, fuck this shit. I'm glad this is over. I'm being honest with you. Which I guess we can get into the review portion now, and I'm gonna go first because I'm already heading down that road anyway. So I gotta say, besides the gross out factor of the fart and shit in this episode, which primarily is the entire episode, it's just like it's see, my whole thing is this. I honestly believe if you can turn a story out of something simple, that is a credit to your writing skills in a sense, but you also have to be entertaining with it. And I'm gonna keep it real. This episode wasn't entertaining to me at all. And I'm not gonna give it the leeway that I get codenamed Kids Next Door because, like I said, I've never seen Ren and Stimpy before. But I think I got a good handle on these two characters from this episode that I don't think it would have really affected that much if I haven't seen it all because I have a good gist of who these guys are. So that, in my opinion, didn't affect it at all. The main thing that really affected it was the story. And yeah, it's a story about this dumb cat Stimpy freaking farting. and he's losing his fire, which actually turns out to be a real thing, and he loses his I can't speak, gas cloud. And then the whole premise of the episode is him trying to look for it and getting all depressed and whatnot. And it's just like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, it felt like the whole scene with him and Ren talking all the time, talking about Ren trying to cheer him up. I felt like I seen that like 3 or 4 fucking times during this episode. And it realistically probably only happened twice, where Ren's trying to cheer him up. And he's like, I don't care. I don't care. And I'm be honest, it just felt boring to me. Honestly, it felt very boring to me. I felt if the story was different, maybe I would have enjoyed it a hell of a lot more, just because of the little plot line of the whole fart shit. And plus, I was disgusted out too by it, especially near in the end when you actually get to see the fart and the little fish get married and whatnot. It's just like, I really wasn't feeling it. I wasn't a big fan of it. I didn't like it. But I feel, as I said, that I got a good handle on these two characters, and I'm going to make the judgment that, hey, if it was a different story, maybe I would have enjoyed this episode more. Overall, story was boring. I mean, it had a beginning, middle, and end, as every story should. But it was just boring, man. And you could say, yeah, there was a little bit of funny moments here and there. It is not like, ha ha ha, laugh your ass off. It's not like Courage the Cowardly Dog funny, or even Futurama funny. Or I'll even go a step further, and you probably will say, hey, you know what? Maybe this brings it to a new low. But it's not even South Park funny, honestly. Like, South Park is good with their potty humor and whatnot. And that's how I feel that low about this episode. And yeah, they didn't really make jokes, which I thought was the main premise of Ren and Stimpy. Like, it just, I don't know. I wasn't feeling this, if I'm being 100% honest. Storyline, boring and disgusting, but I'm not going to nitpick at it for the disgust factor. That's just my personal preference. But it was just boring overall to me. And yeah, this is supposed to be a Christmas episode. We only see Santa Claus in one scene. Yeah, we commend shows with, kind of pushing the Christmas factor in the backseat and making it more about story, which this did. I wouldn't say that's commendable or not commendable for this episode, because it really didn't affect it really. But they didn't have to play off the Christmas effects and make it be like, oh yeah, this is our Christmas episode. Like, honestly, if you didn't say it was Christmas, I wouldn't have even fucking noticed, to be honest with you. I'm gonna hit this episode honestly with the 5.5 out of 10. I really wasn't feeling this one. I think that's a fair rate. Nice 5.5 out of 10. Maybe I'll enjoy some other episodes, man. I'll definitely check out Ren and Stimpy, man, some more. This is going to be reviewed more on the channel, because a lot of people were telling me about this good old classic, and I'm definitely going to check it out some more. So, Alex Payne, what is your review and rating?
It's kind of funny you mentioned the code name Kids Next Door, because when you think about it in that aspect, for you more specifically, this episode was kind of the polar opposite of that of how you felt about that one in a way, because that one had a lot going on, super interesting and all this other shit, but you just couldn't connect. But you didn't really have the time to connect with the characters.
And I'm sure I gave that a way higher rate, to be honest, than this. So I think I gave it like a 7 or 6.5 at the very least.
I think it was a 7, but in this you understood who the characters was, but couldn't connect with the story, because there wasn't any. Literally nothing was happening in the story.
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that.
So it's funny the contrast, like how those two are kind of polar opposites in a way. But no, I kind of agree with you in what you said earlier. I feel like this episode screams quality if you were watching a different episode.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like that's how this episode feels like a bad episode from a good show. If that makes any sense.
This feels like an episode that just needs to be shat on, pun intended.
Like, it legit feels like an episode. If the episode feels like a bad episode of a good show, as weird as that sounds, because I never watched it either, so I don't have any bearing on the show. But like, just from the way it felt and the characters, I could see watching another episode how that episode might be better. But I think saying this had a story is pretty thin, to say the least, though. He farted. The fart went away. He got depressed about it. The fart came back. That's pretty. I don't know if you that. I feel like that's a little thin to be a story because that's the thing.
Listen, that was
The
better than
premise.
your summary earlier.
Listen, actually that was my exact summary. But because it's funny because the premise means that this episode should be comedy heavy because
Exactly.
this is what you would call a joke plot, okay?
Right.
This is friggin'
Right.
you throw something out there and just make a whole ton. It's something extremely ungodly simple that's not even a story in all realities, and make a whole bunch of jokes out of the situation. But they took a joke premise and took it ungodly serious. So, like you said, it was just really boring. I felt, even though I never watched the show before, I felt like I'd rather be watching another episode of Ren and Stimpy. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it the
Absolutely.
same. I'm gonna give it this. And the gross out. And for the record, the gross out didn't really bother me like that. I mean, yeah, it was nasty, and I really it was, but it didn't.
It's the
Yeah.
look of the little freaking things, man, that got me. I ain't even gonna lie to you. It was the fucking look of the
No,
stuff.
listen,
Honestly, I didn't.
listen.
Nah.
I think in concept it's kind of disgusting and childish, but yeah. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10, like nice and middle of the road. I didn't think it was bad necessarily, but it was just really. It was kind of a slog to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely was. But there y'all have it, man. That has been our review for the Ren and Stimpy Show, Season 2, Episode 7, Son of Stimpy. We both give this bad boy a 5 out of 10. And that is it, man. This is the Cartoon Kid channel where we talk cartoons and we do it daily, baby. And this is the 25 Days of Christmas Cartoons Marathon. Drop your comment down in the comment box below. Tell us what you think of this episode. Tell us if you liked it. Tell us if you hate it. And if you want some other cartoons for us to review, got some ideas, man, toss them down in the comment box below, man. We'll be looking. But until then, we will see ya when we see ya. Peace out, everybody.